Fellow Ugandans, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, aka Bobi Wine, the leader of the National Unity Platform and the People Power Movement. I salute you and I thank you for everything you continue to do to build our nation. Today, I want to once again directly address the men and women in uniform, the UPDF soldiers, the police officers, the prison officers, and the intelligence services. I'm singling them out because these men and women have been used to crush the aspirations of the people of Uganda, to crack down on every effort by the people to free themselves from a military regime. And yet, they're also prisoners. In fact, in many ways, they are worse prisoners than the rest of us. Sometimes when you meet them in private, even after they've manhandled you following orders from above, they will encourage you to continue fighting for them and for the nation. I am convinced that one day the majority of them will confidently come out and join the citizens. And that will be the end of this criminal regime. These past days, the question of the welfare of our soldiers and police officers has once again become the subject of public debate. This is only after the unfortunate incidents of shootings and gun violence. The devastating attack on our forces in Somalia has also brought to the forefront the plight and welfare of those deployed to fight outside Uganda. You all remember that in our 2021 manifesto, the welfare of our men and women in uniform was high on our agenda. We made it clear that people who are keeping our country and its borders safe cannot continue earning peanuts and living miserably, and then we expect them to do their work effectively. This is because we understood that a hungry man is an angry man. The violence unleashed on the population is sometimes because they are living under so much stress. They tend to transfer their anger from a system that does not work for them and offload it on the innocent citizens that are trying to free everybody, including themselves, from this oppression. It is a shame that some of our men and women in uniform actually earn as low as 380,000 shillings, $100. And these people are expected to do shopping from the same places like everybody else? Of course, General Museveni and his henchmen have been telling you to sacrifice. They love using big words like patriotism and reminding you that being in the forces should be about the mission and not welfare. Well, this would not be a problem if the same people making these statements were doing the same thing. You who are telling them to sacrifice, are you sacrificing? You who are telling them to be patriotic, are you patriotic? You tell them to sacrifice while you steal billions of public funds. You tell them to sacrifice while you send your children abroad for studies at the expense of the taxpayer because you have destroyed the schools at home. You tell them to sacrifice while you set up multi-billion shopping malls and apartments here in Uganda and abroad, all born out of corruption. You tell them that there is no money. You tell them to tighten their belts, to understand the challenges of their country. But look at the budget you just passed. Billions allocated to State House and to Anita Mong and to Thomas Tayebwa. Citizens have been sharing an excerpt of the new vision detailing how the Speaker of Parliament and her deputy have shamelessly eaten big in next year's budget. How can you say there's no money when you are spending close to 2 billion shillings on their public relations and over 1 billion shillings on their welfare and entertainment, over 260 million shillings on their beddings and footwear, 9.6 billion shillings on their travels abroad, and over 4 billion shillings just for them to donate? And yet, this is just one example of the extravagance and luxurious living of Museveni's cronies. And then you say there's no money. Are we really serious? I have moved around the country and seen the miserable housing at most police stations, including those in Kampala. Ironically, the regime will always have enough money to buy brand new guns and new tear gas trucks to intimidate the population, but will claim there is no money to improve the welfare of the people handling those guns. What a shame. At a time when you claim that there is no money to build hospitals and schools and to provide better housing for the police and military officers, there is money enough to buy new Mercedes-Benzes for regime officials and to ensure that each one of them is followed around by 2 or 3 vehicles. So stop telling them to sacrifice while you live in luxury on taxpayers' money. Our country is now condemned to pay billions in reparations to Congo by the International Court of Justice because a small clique of senior officers connected to Museveni went in and stole gold and timber and other mineral resources using you, the soldiers. As they were enriching and turning themselves into billionaires overnight, they were busy telling the junior soldiers to fight on and sacrifice. How shameless. We talk about improving the welfare of our forces, not just for politics. We talk about it because we know it is possible. We have enough resources to ensure that they are paid better and live in dignity if we have our priorities right. We have questions about the classified expenditure, almost 3 trillion every year. What does that money do apart from siphoning it and using it for patronage? Imagine if that money was invested in setting up modern hospitals and schools and housing facilities, soldiers and police officers and their families. In just one financial year, you would see a fundamental improvement in the lives of these our people. Just looking at the budget of the next financial year, although they've been guarded about the real number of soldiers, but from public statements, including tweets by the army spokesperson, the UPDF has between 50 and 60,000 soldiers. Even if the force was above 100,000 men and women, the current budget for wage for UPDF is enough to raise the salary of every soldier at the rank of private to at least 1 million shillings, effective 1st July this year. Now, the current salary for a private in the UPDF is 385,000 shillings per month. That is the equivalent of $100, which means a soldier at the rank of private is paid about 4.6 million shillings per year, a whole year. In the next financial year, the wage bill for UPDF is going to be 952 billion, almost $1 trillion. Now, if the strength of the UPDF was 60,000 soldiers and each one of them is paid 1 million shillings per month as the starting amount, you would have more than 250 billion left to pay additional money for those soldiers in higher ranks. Why is it not being done? Well, we all know the probable answers. This applies to the police and to other security services. Our struggle, therefore, is about fairness and equity. Our vision is to have fair promotions, fair deployments, and fair opportunities for training, regardless of where one comes from or what language they speak. Our vision is to have the children of our men and women in uniform to have access to the best education opportunities, for their wives to safely give birth in good hospitals, just like the wives of those they guard. Our vision is to turn our armed forces into a service with a clear system of entry and exit like it is in other countries. Joining forces should not be a prison. A person should be able to join forces, serve for a time they desire, and retire and go do other things unless they want to build a longer career in the forces. And they should also be well appreciated and well rewarded so that they retire with dignity. These are all achievable if we have a government elected and accountable to the people of Uganda, and security services are there to serve the people of the country, not to ensure that the regime stays in power. Therefore, I appeal to you all, brothers and sisters, to reflect about these things, to think about them, and to work towards the economic, social, and political freedom of every citizen, and not just a few. Remember, we are not fighting you, we are fighting for you. Situpigane na nyinyi, tunawapigania nyinyi. Bino byenkola biyamba bwena bantu bo. Afande sipigani nawe, nakupigania. Sipigani nawe lakini nakupigania. Afande sirwana na